So bonsai is that easy. Hi, I'm miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. Today I will do two cork elm tree. Um, that's basically Japanese elm, Diana. Um, and I'm only cognizant of the fact that you really want to look at trees you can do, not something exotic that you couldn't duplicate. But so what I would do from now on, try to be cognizant of the fact that I'll do the following. I'll do one small tree where you can start on your own. And this is a 3-year-old cutting, 2 or 3-year-old cutting of a cork elm that I took out, maybe even from this tree. And it grew, and so today I'm going to make that into a bonsai. And then, of course, this is the mother tree. Probably this is 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old. This is probably 20 years old, around 15, 20 years old. And or maybe even a little bit longer, but that doesn't matter. But the point is that I want to fine tune this to show you the progression, what you would do to go from here to here, so that you can start with this, and someday you may wind up with that. In all fairness, this tree will never get to that size because the likelihood is I start off with a vision of this tree will be about this height, and that's why I chose this tree. But if I want to do this tree was actually about this height when it was a skinny little tree, but then you go from there. So you really do have to begin with the vision, sort of begin with the end. Covey says to begin with the end in mind of what you want a tree to create. So let me do a little bit of this one first, and I do this one, and then get back to this one. I'll talk about it anyway. So this is a very nice tree. I've been clipping and growing, clip and grow it for about 15, 20 years, never wired. You can see this is could be the front, could be the back. It looks pretty nice. And this is a pretty nice front. Right. I think this is here. This has a better front, but this is also a possible front. So if you let me turn it around one more time, and the reason why I said this is a desirable front is because this is tilting a little bit forward, and then this is tilting forward, so that's good. But what I would do is actually, when I look at that, my inspiration is to turn that around a little bit like this. See, I wound up creating much more depth. And I think you want to create the depth as well as the sides. The other comment about this tree, you can see it's very rough. I didn't try to clean up any of this. You can see the cuts are very rough. And that's unlike many of the Japanese bonsai, or for that matter, Chinese bonsai in bonsai books. They're really well manicured. I actually prefer not to manicure too well because I really want the tree to emulate nature. Where a branch falls off, it's a little bit rough, but it heals over and you see the same kind of pattern. So if you study this tree, you can see where I cut it before, very roughly, irregular shape, but they heal really, really nicely. So with that introduction, then I'll start to work on this tree because that's quick, okay? So as usual, the first step is I take it out of the pot to look at the roots. So because I can't change the roots once it's grown. This is just my garden soil, which is a mixture of garden soil plus redwood compost. You can see some of these roots will thicken. So you basically have one deep root, one big root going down this way, one big root comes this way, and then you have these kind of like crossing, and then this root coming down this way, and then this comes to the side. I think this one definitely need to be taken out, and so that's the bottom. So I will cut it off here, so it wouldn't look like, it's kind of going to the side of the, and then this one, you can see it's fine. And then this root will be fine. And this is okay. This is okay. But I think it's a little weird. This one's going off this way. So I'll cut it off right here. So this root will take over. So it's like coming out, going this way to complement the other side going out this way. So I think this will be fine. And then this one, you can see the two are parallel. This one is in parallel with this, which is not desirable. So what I'll do is I actually cut it off about here. You see there's a root here. Maybe this root would take over, right? And then this root would take over, and then this root would be here. So that's fine. But right now, it's more important to position the root and roughly at the right angle, and then you have plenty of time to work on it later. So like I would actually dislodge this root so I can move this root out and get rid of it. So now you can probably see a little bit clearer. This tree will have a big root coming out this way, a root going down this way, a root coming out this way, a root coming out this way, root. So it's like radially out. So that's all I need to do. I don't want to disturb the soil too much. So now I want to shade the top. And so the first question is that, do I want to make this the apex or the tree to be this high or this high? I think the tree needs to be a little higher because the trunk can grow pretty thick pretty quickly. But then this tree branch is kind of weird, kind of went out onto the side, to the back. So what I would do is I actually tilt this tree a little bit. You see, if I tilt the tree this way a little bit, now this becomes the apex. Doesn't look so weird, and I can wire this one down or clip this one down and work on the rest of it. So that's my decision. And then what I will do is that I will plant it in a pot like this. You can see that's a reasonable size bonsai, but I won't do that. What I will do is to plant it back into the bonsai, the growing pot, so that it will thicken. I think this tree will look really nice when it's thickened about this thick for a tree about this height. And so that's what I envision this tree to become. And these are the good bonsai heirloom bonsai pot. Hear the ringing, really solid. So with that in mind, then that's my apex. And I'll tilt the tree a little bit so that it looks like going up. And then these trees, these branches would be wired down or pulled down. And why not, right? And so that's all you have to do. And then put it back in the pot. And 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, it'll be a fantastic tree. So bonsai is that easy. In fact, I'll make it a little different. I will have this the apex, and this branch growing out have another apex, so it's a double trunk more or less. You see, that gives a more interesting feature. So you make lemonade when you have lemon. You take advantage of what the tree growing pattern will be, and make a little slight modification to suit your design feature, design criteria, and that's how you get beautiful bonsai over time. And that's truly reflecting your taste, your artistry, for whatever it's worth. I disturb the roots a lot, but I still want to disturb as little as possible. And I'm going to just plant it back in this nursery pot with the garden soil mix and let it grow one more year. But I tell you what, if it's interesting along the way, 3 to 6 months from now, I'll redo a couple more times of this year to show you the progress so you can follow this video here. I want this to be the apex and this to be another one grow up a high. And this one is a little bit too high, so I cut it off here so it will shoot out for me to rework it. And I don't want this to be underneath the other main branch. And this one is probably a little too close to this one here, so I cut it off. And then this is a little too high. I want it to be about here. I can do this. or else I can just cut it off here. And that is pretty much my tree. And I'll work on it again and again in the next several months, and you will see the results. This tree was repotted with my good soil mix about 2 years ago. And you can see when I take it out how much progress it has made with respect to the roots. So with that in mind, then let me just use a saw to cut loose the tree and show you what root pruning can do in keeping the roots in shape. I really think we are creating a community of bonsai enthusiasts. I really would like your feedback. Sometimes I do things intuitively without really explaining it or without questioning, or maybe I even be wrong. So please send in your questions and your comments and how you think I should do it differently, or why do I do what I did. I think I will appreciate it. That will enrich our community's knowledge. So as I saw this, I can feel that there are a lot of roots growing to the side. And so if I don't cut it, when you don't use a saw, I may have a difficulty getting it out of the pots. And I also have to avoid cutting into the mesh that I put in for root pruning. I put in some moss, in a sense I sprinkle some moss on it, and very quickly they green out. This may be the beginning of the moss growing, but this is a little bit more mature. So tell me if you prefer to grow moss or not. And if you did try my method, give me some feedback in terms of how well it works out and why do you think it worked and why do you think it didn't work. The other one, of course, I emphasize is always the quick method, which is the cut and grow, clip and grow. And have you tried clip and grow? And does it work? And have you tried the root pruning? Does it work? So give me some feedback so I don't talk in a blank room into myself, echo chamber to myself. So let's create a really good database for bonsai enthusiasts. So with that, then let me take the bonsai out of the pot just to really reorient a little bit and cut back the roots a little bit, root ball a little bit to fit the soil. You can see how easy it is to remove the pot without the anchor wire and the soil mix that doesn't allow you to do that. So much flexibility. So let's take a look at the roots. Now this is the root pruning screen. You can see it grew into that, you see? And these are all fibrous roots. You can see it's girding the roots so that it's more fibrous roots will form. So if you look at the back, you can see that's how much roots grow through that. But in the meantime, it's getting girded so that the fibrous roots remain on top. This is really a wonderful technique that I'm sharing with you that I haven't read in any bonsai books, but I got it out of the nurseryman kind of a technique book. I don't need to do much root pruning, mess with the roots, because basically it's all fibrous roots. It's all good. I would really like to make this the front so that the tree will have more depth. And with that in mind, then, I really need to remove some soil from here and here to put into a pot that's much narrower, because it was like this. Now I want to put it in this. So with that in mind, then, I just get to work. And to avoid getting rid of too much soil, too much roots, I would just take out try to spread out the roots. I'll save a little piece of moss to either grind it up or put it down again. You see, these are all fibrous roots. And I don't need to disturb the side because there's plenty of room. But this is a big hole and the still is a big hole. I need to figure out a way to encourage roots to grow out of there. This is a very good root. It grew down into the ground here, and yet this piece is jugging out. So what I can do later on is to, in fact, carve this out to make it look dead. Very interesting, but the roots below is still feeding. Just like this piece of wood looks dead, but the bottom is still feeding. And so you can do little tricks like that to make it look interesting. Like this part, it's dead. So you might as well get rid of it, and then the bottom is alive. So that's interesting, So you try to figure out what makes it interesting. Like this, the part that's alive, but everything else is dead on top. And yet the bottom is alive, see? So with that in mind then, let me put it back in the pot. I can use the same mesh, or I can use, or else I can change one. It's very forgiving. So if I squeeze it in, I got it, but I need to clean off a little bit more. So I wonder, what do you think? Yeah, tell me if you like this front compared to before, right? This gives you a lot more depth, and this is tilting front. So everything is right by the classical bonsai rules. Maybe tilt it a little bit more to give it, to show this part of the trunk a little bit more, because that's a beautiful feature. You see, so this would be the angle, and this is the front. You see a little bit more towards the front, but it really created the difference. So that's what you do for repotting, is to adjust the shape to optimize the display of the tree. I think this will be a wonderful tree when the leaves are in about 2 months. You can see the leaves are already coming out end of January, which is really amazing. This is going to be a very warm season. It started really early. So with that in mind, then let me straighten out the roots and put it back. These are my good soil mix, so I will continue to use the same and put it back and fill it back up, and it's done. And then I'll clip off a little bit of the branching to shape it. Each time you do that, or very often you just do it as you go. So I'm just cutting off to fit the pot, and this sticking out a little bit more, but if I cut it, it will encourage the growth of the fibrous roots, so that's fine. And the same thing on this side. This sandy loam, I bought it from Nursery Supply House. It's a little bit more sand than the loam that I have down at my farm. Both are good. I prefer my one from my farm that has a little bit more loam. I think the trees like elm will grow better. Okay, it fits in fine, see? So I think this tree needs to be tilted up a bit. Okay, I can fill the soil back, and I'm done. And then I'll do a little bit of clipping. I think it's good. Really just tilt it a little bit to accentuate the depth. I didn't put the tree back really quite right yet. And I'll spend time doing it instead of taking up your time to really put the tree, make the tree a little bit lower. Right now it's a little bit too high. And so the last step is I will trim off a little bit of excess growth to make the tree look like groomed. It doesn't really matter because in about a couple of months, it will grow out pretty vigorously. I have to reprune it many more times. But some of the obvious ones, I would like to do it to make it look a little bit better, more groomed. You can see the leaves are already coming out. It's going to be a early spring because now it's only January. It should be a little bit colder, but we're getting pretty warm temperature. I suppose that's part of global warming. That's a little bit scary, really. So 5 minutes of grooming will go a long way to make the tree look a little bit more cared for. And then a couple more times throughout the year, as the tree grows, you can then continue to clip it to make it look good, so that by the end of the summer, you're going to have a nice, well-groomed tree to display the silhouette. Just cut off a little bit at the end so that it will branch out to have a little bit more ramification. And that shows the kind of the care and the age, because older trees generally have more ramification. That's it. That's a tree. So I would take my time, make the tree lower, and then I will sprinkle the moss on it. And I show you in 3 months that this will be a beautiful, beautiful bonsai. So today I did 2 bonsai. This one is really something you can do with relatively easy, in a sense. You can get the tree of the size and start clipping it and let it fill out a little bit. And then really, that's a kind of tree about this stage we'll be selling you in the third quarter of 2024 that you can use as a starter plant to make into any shape that you like. In this case, you have a double trunk with this the apex and this the apex and the complementary branches below. I think it will look pretty nice. So that's the one I would let it grow here for maybe 2 more years at most, and then put it in a bonsai pot, and I'll show you along the way how the tree developed. I could have cut back a lot more severe, but I like to leave more branches to thicken the trunk a little bit more. And then this is a 20-year-old versus a 3-year-old tree that you can see the clip and grow, increase the ramification, makes the silhouette look really nice. And you continue to prune it to encourage more ramification. And again, I did not break off this really well so that it will heal nicely, like just in nature, the tree got broken off randomly. So again, I would put this tree a little bit lower, but about at the same angle with respect to this pot. What I did is I took it out of the pot to really tilt it a little bit, rotate it a little bit to create more depth for this branch to come out a little bit more to create more depth. But I will put this one down and put moss on top so that it will look like a really, really nice bonsai in about 2 months or 3 months. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video. It really is my sincere wish that I give you useful information that you can use to make your own bonsai. And so I hope you if you found this video is informative, I like the encouragement. And subscribe to our channel because we're going to have a lot of good materials coming. And each time, I think I'll do my best to have a starter tree and a mature tree to show you what your vision could be that you ultimately will have after several years of working. Again, I think my encouragement to you is that, let's say, even if you're 60, 65, retired, you have good 30 years ahead of you these days. And so start now, and you're going to have plenty heirloom bonsai to give it to your family. So hope to see you soon. Thank you very much for watching.